I'm Doxy McCoy from the Mayor's Office of Communications, and welcome to Mayor Gray's biweekly press briefing. He'll be with us shortly. Just two quick announcements. The first one, the 4th Annual DC Housing Expo, takes place this Saturday at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. There will be more than 50 vendors offering information on affordable housing, foreclosure prevention, financial literacy, and other topics. The other announcement, the Mayor's Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month celebration takes place tomorrow. That's Thursday at 5:30 at the Kennedy Auditorium at Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. Reporters, please check your packets for the details. I'll wrap up by telling everyone to please silence your cell phones. All speakers, please identify yourself when you come to the podium. As is the custom, reporters, please ask questions only on the main topic first, and then the Mayor will take questions on other topics. Now, before the Mayor takes the podium, please welcome Principal Cheryl Borden.
Good morning and welcome to KIPP DC. My name is Cheryl Borden and I'm the principal of KIPP DC College Preparatory, one of the highest performing high schools in Washington, D.C. We have a lot of school pride and spirit here, and we also know that sports is more about just skill. It's also about building team, building community, and building character. So we were very excited to hear that Mayor Gray would be here to have an announcement with us this morning. Let's see if we can have our KCP cheerleaders come over and get this crowd pumped up. Thank you, ladies. It is now my honor to truly give a warm welcome and introduce Mayor Vincent Gray. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I want to thank Principal Borden for hosting us here today, and thank you for the opening comments. And Susan, I want to thank you for your work on behalf of KIPP and on behalf of so many students in the city. It's amazing to see what's happened just to this building in a relatively short period of time. Many of us remember this as Douglas School, and now it is a KIPP school, and obviously the building itself has been modernized fully, and we know the quality of education that KIPP brings. So thank you all for what you do on behalf of our children every day. Also, how about a big hand for the young people? I won't say they entertained us, they stimulated us today with the cheerleading and with the activity that took place back here, for those of you who can still hear. How about a big hand for them? Is this the KIPP football team here? All right, well, you guys, I'm sure you're going to be as good as some of the other charter schools and traditional D.C. public in the city, and that's what we're looking for. That's one of the reasons why we're here today, to be able to level the playing field when it comes to competition. I want to recognize the other folks who are up here with us. Clark Ray, who is our statewide athletic director. You'll hear from him shortly. And we have our deputy mayor for education, who is here with us today, who really has had an enormous responsibility in helping to bring together, not in just this way, but in a variety of ways, the two sectors, the charter schools as well as the traditional D.C. public schools. Deshaun Wright. And we have our state superintendent and a representative of the OSSE, but I'm going to let you introduce your staff when you get up here. Please join me in welcoming the state superintendent, Hosanna Mahaley. We also have some folks here from Safeway. Maybe we'll hear from Greg a little bit later in the program. In any event, I'm glad to be here today. I think all of you know that education is certainly one of my top priorities and has been as long as I've been in the District of Columbia, which is actually all of my life. I am a product of public education here, K through 12, and went to George Washington University thereafter. But I'm a proud product of Logan Elementary School, Langley Junior High School, and then Dunbar High School, and we're building a new Dunbar High School, as you well know, over on the site of the existing high school. Those priorities along, of course, with getting people back to work, making sure people feel safe and are safe in the District of Columbia, and achieving fiscal stability, which we made an important step towards during the last audit. I think we know, and I know this firsthand, that research has proven that school sports programs play an important role in educational and fostering educational achievement. Students who participate in organized sports are often higher achievers in terms of grades, reduced truancy, and lower dropout rates. Students in organized sports also do better with homework, educational aspirations, and other barometers of achievement. In fact, as a past student athlete myself, I know firsthand how competition, teamwork, discipline, and good sportsmanship can help to shape a student's future. And that's why today is so exciting. I'm delighted to announce something that I've talked about, worked for, aspired to even before becoming the mayor, and that is the creation of a District of Columbia State Athletic Association. Maybe that will allow us to be acknowledged as a state, at least on one front, since we can't seem to do it in terms of the other 50 states. The DCSAA will give our youth from DCPS, charters, as well as private schools an opportunity for the first time ever to compete for a state championship under rules, unified rules beginning this fall. I want to thank again State Superintendent Mahaley for her leadership and being, of course, an important partner in helping to make this happen, and obviously for housing and overseeing the D.C. Statewide Athletic Association. In the spirit of one city, establishing statewide athletics provides a truly unified representation of one champion. We have heard lots of discussion, especially around football, where we have Friendship, which is an extraordinary team that's been coached by an extraordinary coach. They have beaten a lot of teams around the country. They play at almost a national schedule, and they too have been strong advocates for having a statewide playoff. As a matter of fact, I see the DCSAA football champions just came in the gym from Dunbar High School. I see Principal Jackson, who just joined them. But it's not just about football. It's also about other sports as well, and we want to make sure that we observe gender equity in doing this. We are planning championships in 5 sports in addition to football. Division I and Division II football. You will hear more about that, which is not unusual for other states. They do it on the basis of enrollment, and we're looking at some ways also to try to make sure that our teams have a chance to be able to compete and to win. But in addition to football, it'll be boys, also boys cross country, boys soccer, girls cross country, and girls soccer as well. The 2012 DCSAA Division I State Championship game will consist of the winners of the DCSAA League Championship, which and a 4-seed single elimination WCSAA Independent School playoff that will take place simultaneously with the DCSAA determining its champion. The proud tradition of the Turkey Bowl, and I think we've had 44 Turkey Bowls now here in the District of Columbia, will continue, of course, and will have increased stakes because beyond just being the Turkey Bowl winner, the DCSAA champion will have a chance to be the state champion for the District of Columbia. We're also looking forward to a Division II state football playoff this year because for many years, if you weren't in the Turkey Bowl, you really didn't have anything else to play for. Establishing a Division II state football playoff will provide the incentive for all schools to compete beyond their league or division title. The 2012 DCSAA, these initials, we'll have to get those straight, the DC, the DC Statewide Athletic Association Division II State Football Championship will consist of winners of a 4-seed elimination tournament among the top 4 remaining DCSAA schools. The quarterfinal games will be played on November 17th. The DCSAA Turkey Bowl will take place on November 22nd, and the semifinal games will be played on November 24th. Both state championship games will be played on December 1st, 2012. The 2012-2013 DCSAA state championships are proposed for winter, including boys and girls indoor track, boys and girls basketball and spring boys baseball, girls softball, boys and girls outdoor track. And cheerleading has also been proposed as a state championship. We're still working on the details of that. Obviously, you saw today a case being made for us being able to do that competition. Building one city in this arena also means making sure that we observe gender equity in sports. We obviously support Title IX and provide female students with an equal opportunity to compete as we continue to improve those programs. Statewide sports will be operating under unified rules, regulations, and oversight of student athlete eligibility, ensuring that all schools are playing by the same rules, and that will be exceedingly important to make sure that those who compete in these statewide championships also are playing by the same rules during their respective seasons. And of course, obviously, the same safety standards and for the most part having the same resources to work with. So again, I want to thank everybody for working to make this day come. We've gotten to this stage, but we have a lot of work in front of us at this stage, even though a lot is behind us at this point. I'd like to bring up, first of all, our State Superintendent, who I introduced earlier, who will talk about how this will be managed and operated within the Office of the State Superintendent for Education. Please join me in welcoming our State Superintendent, Hosanna Mahaley.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Gray, for having the vision for the DCSAA. I can remember 2 years ago when I first met Mayor Gray about coming to the district to serve in this role. He talked about his vision, and he talked about a number of things, and one of them was this statewide athletics league. So I'm so proud and happy to be here today launching that effort. I'd also like to thank Dr. Sandra Schlicker, who's here with me today from OSSE. Many of you may not know that the District of Columbia has the #1 breakfast program in the country. We also have the #1 summer lunch program, and all of that is largely due to the leadership of Dr. Schlicker. So I'm so happy that she's going to help us move forward with our athletics league. I also want to thank the outstanding student athletes who are here today. There's always If you'll notice, I said student athletes because it's always important to remember that you're students first and athletes second. So I'd like to thank you all for the work that you do. I want to thank the coaches, mentors, and other athletic directors and administrators who are here with us today. Mayor Gray talked about the role of OSSE and some of the things we would do. Some of the things we're going to do are to set the rules and regulations to make sure that everyone has a level playing field. We're also going to appoint an advisory board and have a separate and independent appeals board. Well, today, my #1 responsibility here is to introduce our statewide director of athletics and make sure he has enough time to explain the layout and format of the DCSAA and answer any questions you may have. So many of you probably already know Clark Ray. He's been with us for several months. He's had several meetings behind the scenes, and I've been to a couple of them, and I have to say every meeting that I've attended has been standing room only. So there's so much excitement around this work. And to get anything new and courageous done, it requires leadership, and that's what Clark Ray brings. So please join me in welcoming our statewide athletics director, Mr. Clark Ray.
Thank you very much, State Superintendent, but please make no mistake about this. I am but just a foot soldier in Mayor Gray's army here as far as interscholastic athletics. This was a vision that he had, something that we talked about long before he became mayor. Actually, we started talking about it when he was chairman of the DC Council. I had conversations about that, so I want to publicly and personally thank Mayor Gray for your leadership and commitment to interscholastic athletics and to the youth of the District of Columbia. Thank you. I also would like to thank the State Superintendent for her support in providing me the resources that I needed to undertake and to lay a foundation for a statewide athletic association. Thank you very much, State Superintendent. Also, I must say a quick thank you to Dr. Schlicker, who at OSSE, this whole division of statewide athletics comes under her portfolio at the state level. So thank you for your leadership and guidance. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank the Deputy Mayor for Education and for his guidance and leadership in giving me the skinny and direction and showing me the way on a couple of issues that we had. Thank you very much. Also, I would like to thank Chancellor Henderson and the DC PS Athletic Director Stephanie Evans for their cooperation, especially as we have tried to transition and move the state functions from the public schools over to the state office. It's been trying at times, but I consider DCPS, who is the largest LEA in this setup and format, a true partner, and I look forward to continuing our relationship, building upon it. So thank you, Stephanie, for your leadership and for being a cooperative partner in this endeavor. As I said in the beginning, this was a goal and a vision that Mayor Gray had, and he had it when he was Chairman Gray. So it was a very clear mandate for me, and with the support of the State Superintendent, this is about establishing and creating, elevating DC interscholastic athletics and creating a level playing field for all of those who participate in sports in the District of Columbia to play and to compete for state championships. So there are 2 points that I would personally like to leave you with here today before we get into questions. The first is, this will be a transitional year for us. The 2012-2013 will be a transitional year. There may be some things that we do this year that we're going to learn from going into it. It's not going to be always pretty and easy, but we know that going into it, and with the support that I have from the executive down to the State Superintendent and all those that I have mentioned, we will prevail. We will have a great state championship series. The second is, and I think the mayor really emphasized this, and so did the State Superintendent, we are going to create a set of uniform rules by which all will compete. This is an opportunity. This is a volunteer organization. Folks can join this. LEAs can join this organization only if you want to compete for statewide athletic championships. You will have to follow the same rules that everyone else follows. And that is going to be the real anchor here going forward. So in closing, again, though, I would like to thank, I see a lot of individuals out in the audience who the State Superintendent mentioned that I have met with over the last 5 months. And there have been many. I want to thank all of you, each one of you, too many to call out by name, for taking the time to sit with me, give me your guidance, give me your thoughts on how we should roll out this state association. And Mr. Mayor, I can tell you, there is some passion around athletics, interscholastic athletics in the city, and for a good reason, because we have some of the finest athletes in the region, and we're getting ready to put them on display for the rest of the area to see. So now it's my pleasure and honor to introduce to you whom I've already mentioned, but want to make it known again, our partner in this endeavor, as having someone who has been running an athletic department and a state association intertwined as one, the Director of Athletics for the DC Public School System, Stephanie Evans.
Good morning. Good morning. It's a great day in the District of Columbia, isn't it? I am very excited to be here and very excited to see the student athletes of the District of Columbia come together as one. I think this is an exciting opportunity for all the student athletes to have the opportunity to extend their playing seasons, more opportunities to play in front of college coaches, to have the ability to now crown a true champion. I think is exciting. It's what our mayor wanted. It's what Clark Ray wants. So I think it's going to be a really, really exciting time in the District of Columbia. We're looking forward to transitioning some of the responsibilities of the state office, and that will give us an opportunity to focus on growing as a league. So I thank you all for coming out and supporting, and I look forward to seeing you all in the fall for the first round of championships.
Thank you very much to all of our speakers. And Stephanie, I want to thank you for your leadership. You've been on board now probably about, I don't know, 7 months? 6 months, okay, 1 month ahead. But already you've started to introduce new sports activities into the DCIAA. I think there's a bowling program. Excellent. Well, and that's what we want. We want the day to come when every young person has a chance to participate in some level of athletics in the city. And, you know, contrary to popular belief, I think those who actually have been athletes know that athletes tend to achieve at a higher academic level than students who are in the general population. And the reason is obvious, and that is if you want to maintain your eligibility, if you want to continue to be able to play, you're going to have the grades that allow you to do that. So again, Stephanie, thank you for what you're doing, and the others who are working hard. I think we'll give our deputy mayor a chance to come up and say something also. He's been working hard, not just around athletics, but also around the broader issues of public education in the city, to work on bringing together public education as under one umbrella in the city. Please welcome Deputy Mayor Wright.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. I was just whispering to Stephanie, where was she at when I was growing up? Because I was a heck of a bowler, and I would love to have competed, but I look like I missed my chance. But this is indeed an exciting day, and I want to thank you all for being here. You know, as the mayor said, part of my role and responsibility as deputy mayor is to make sure that we have one united vision for public education in the city, and this is an illustration of just that. We want to do it not just in thinking about our academic success, but also in what we do in sports and athletics. So this is an exciting time. I look forward to coming to the first state championship game where we have both our independent and our charter school playing alongside and in partnership with our district partners, and I look forward to seeing you all on the field.
All right, we'd like to have you ask any questions that you may wish about the new efforts that are afoot. It will redefine athletics in the District of Columbia. For those who don't know, I think it was mentioned earlier, 41% of our children in public education are now in charter schools, which obviously means 59% are in DC public schools, and it goes up by 1% or 2 every year. So it's certainly not inconceivable that the day will come when we have the same number of young people in our charter schools as we do in our traditional DC public schools. We have about 76 or 77,000 students total, 31 of whom are in the charter schools, and 46,000 of whom are in the traditional DC public schools. So let's open it up for questions on this issue at this point.
Oh, I have
Yes.
a question. When you were saying about the timeline for the state championship for football, is that coming after the Turkey Bowl?
It is.
So then the state championship would not be the person representing the city in the Turkey Bowl.
Excuse me?
If the Turkey Bowl would be played before the state championship, is that correct?
That's correct.
So the Turkey Bowl, who would represent the city in the Turkey Bowl would be the...
Well, there is no D-City.
Right, so there'd be
it would be the DCIAA, and it's the winner of the Turkey Bowl plays in the state championship.
The winner of the Turkey Bowl?
Correct.
Oh, so a Catholic school could play...
It won't be necessarily a Catholic school. We're talking about charter schools also. The Turkey Bowl has not, excuse me, the Turkey Bowl has not changed. It will be played among the 2 best DCIAA schools. But that is not the end as it has been in the past. There's been nothing for the charter schools to play. We've never been able for 40 or 45 years to revive the private school involvement in the championship game here in the city. And we know when it's been held, it also could have been, because it's the WCAC, it could have been a school that's actually outside of the District of Columbia, because DeMatha is outside of the city, for example, or Paul VI, or one of those schools that plays in the WCAC. This will be... The state championship will involve, and Clark is still working out the details of how this will work, but it will be a DCIAA representative, and as a result of the other parallel tournament that is taking place, a charter school or a private school, right? Or an private independent school.
This would not give a charter school an opportunity to play in the Turkey Bowl.
No, I would look at it a little differently. That the Turkey Bowl is not the final game anymore.
Right, and that's just what I was trying to get straight in my head. I appreciate that.
The Turkey Bowl will be played. It's a DCIAA event that will qualify someone then to play in the state championship. You want to talk about that, Clark?
Yeah, I think the question was about Division I and Division II, and every state association has a unique factor, and this will probably be our unique factor proposed, is that there are the 4 top teams from the DCIAA, the 2 from the East. They will be in their playoffs, that they make the Turkey Bowl playoff. They will be qualified in the minds of the state as Division I. We will then take, if there is a Washington Charter School League that is going to run a football league this coming fall, we have had a conversation with that league commissioner that we would take the winner of that league and qualify them as one of the participants in the charter school independent side. For instance, though, a team like Friendship would not be probably playing in the charter school league because their schedules are already set. They would be classified as independent, along with the other independents, anyone else that wants to be a member of the DC State Athletic Association. We would take the top four. It would be a power ranking system that is to be determined yet how we're going to get there. So you would have those four playing out in a bracket versus the DCIAA 4 that are playing out. Those 8 teams are considered Division I. Then what we're going to do is, in order to help elevate and expand, we're going to take every other state association member that has a record of 500 or above. We're going to power rank them 1 through 4. We're going to take the top 4, and we're going to run a Division II format. So the question, if you have, in Division I, you have the 4 teams. Once that one of those teams loses, no, they do not go down to Division II. They are already playing for a Division I state championship. We're going to take the other 4 with records of 500 or above, power rank them, and run a Division II format. That's our scenario.
5 through 8 on each side.
What's that?
Wouldn't it be 5 through 8 on Division I from each side that just qualifies for Division II?
Correct.
Mr. Mayor, you focused a lot on academic standards. Are there any changes in the academic standards for who's eligible to play in the school system in this athletic conference? Is it still tough? Is it still?
There's any changes in that, right? Yeah, it's a 2.0. It's a 2.0 for all that would be participating to be able to.
Important part of the program, though, academics.
I'm sorry.
It's an important part of the program.
Yes.
I'm feeding you a question.
That's right. That is exactly right, Tom. And we have unfortunately had situations in the past where some players on some teams were not academically ineligible, and it has led to problems. We had 2 or 3 years ago a whole team that was disqualified from participating in the Turkey Bowl because they had academically ineligible players who were participating. My advice to the young people here, hit the books. You know, athletics, people don't go to school for athletics, although one would raise questions about this at the collegiate level. We've unfortunately got some of our great athletes now who go to college for 1 year and then go into, the draft to be drafted, particularly in basketball. I think the most outstanding basketball player at the collegiate level this past year was a young man who was a freshman who now will probably be the #1 pick in the lottery. I saw an ESPN story on him just last night. But that's not what this is about for us. This is about young people having an opportunity to engage in extracurricular activities. Curriculum to me means what you do in the books and what you do in the classroom. And those who don't do well in the classroom, who don't get a 2.0, will not participate in these championships. Jack, I want to recognize you also. You've done such a great job with baseball here in the city. So I want to recognize you. You just had, once again, a great event for girls, Guy Mason, and then we had the boys, the guys over at Nationals Park, participated in the championship games, and that is a growing event also. And obviously we want to work to try to bring, work with you to bring those events under one state championship effort. But you've gotten very close to it already with the private schools and the DCIAA schools participating in a baseball championship annually. So thank you, Jack, for what you've done. Yes?
Mayor Gray, can you talk about how, or Clark could talk about how this will or will not impact the city title basketball game?
You mean the quote-unquote championship game?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, we have an event that is between the DCIAA as well as the as well as now the WCAC. It's those two leagues that have been playing. You know, it's almost analogous to what's happened at the collegiate level. It used to be that every year bowl games pitted one conference against the other. For example, it used to be the Big Ten versus the Pac, 10, 12, 14, whatever it is now, in the Rose Bowl. And a lot of that has changed because athletics have changed so much. And what we see is the same thing here. We haven't made any final decisions yet. You can come on up and talk about it, Clark. But we know that that's got to be worked on. That game normally would be played in March of next year, and we'll be working to try to make sure that too leads to a state champion at the end of the respective seasons.
So your thought is that, like the Turkey Bowl, that would not be the final game of the year of the season.
No, haven't made any decisions on it. That's a lot easier to deal with than basketball. I mean, in football. Football is a game where if you play it a couple times a week, that's just kind of insane. Basketball that are played day after day because it's not as grueling physically on the competitors as football is. So we may be able to have a lot more flexibility with how we play those games and the frequency of them. The problem with the football program is that playing those games less frequently than once a week really is not wise from a physical perspective at all. Tom?
Other subjects? Ready?
Well, I was actually going to run this thing from this podium right up here for you.
That's why I asked. Are you ready for other subjects? I can wait.
Speak up a little bit, James.
Next year, and what private schools will be participating next year? Have they been receptive to the idea of playing it?
You want to talk about that?
The question is about what private schools and have they agreed to participate. I've had conversations with like Murray, for instance. Everyone seems to be interested, and they certainly become a lot more interested when you talk about a state championship. I think the privates have taken the sort of the attitude that this is something that has been talked about for a long time, but there has not been any action put into play here. And finally, the mayor and with the state superintendent and the deputy mayor, we're putting action into play. So once this announcement is out and everyone knows for sure that this is the real deal, a real thing, I think we'll see a lot more come to the table. As you know, a lot of schools, even I think the DCIAA schools, probably have a lot of their schedules already set for next year. So it's going to be, as I said, a transitional year, some give and take, but there has certainly been interest expressed by the privates and even by some of the parochial schools that are in the District of Columbia.
All right. I think as you recognize, this is a work in progress, but we had to get started somewhere, and that's what we've chosen to do. We are underway. We are establishing the mechanics and the framework of a statewide program. When we talk about Division I and Division II, if you go to some of the other states, like Maryland and Virginia, you will see a gradation, if you will. It's based on enrollment. For example, Maryland, I think, has 4 levels. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Obviously, that would be 4 levels. And they do it on the basis of enrollment. And it's interesting, some of the schools at like level 3 or level 2 actually are more powerful on the field or on the court than some of the schools that are at higher levels of enrollment. But that is the basis for trying to level the playing field, and that is enrollment. I think for us it's probably going to be a factor because some of the schools that we've found that have such difficulty competing across the board are the schools that have such low enrollment at this stage. And in terms of football, they have a difficult time even getting 20 players out on their team. And it is almost impossible to be competitive in this city with some of the other schools, 20 ball players. I see Dunbar sitting over here. They typically have 35, 40 ball players and typically have a great. Same thing is true of H.D. Woodson. Same thing is true of Ballou. Same thing is true of Coolidge and Wilson. Those schools do extremely well in football. Wilson is a powerhouse in baseball. How many DCIAA championships have they won in a row? 20? 20. Well, hopefully our baseball academy will start to spread that out. It gets a little monotonous when the same team wins 2 decades in a row. But you know what? They play who they put in front of them, and they do extremely well, and that's what they're supposed to do. Mark?
Question of fairness. There's going to be a phenomenal development, and they use, to me, friendship medicine, sort of recruiting people to go to the charter schools just to play sports. And there will be a great inequity because the public schools have to take everybody who wants to go to a public school, while the charter schools, which are funded with taxpayer money, are selective academically, and they can also be selective athletically. And thus, the public schools will be at a disadvantage because some charter schools will recruit people just for their athletic ability.
Well, of course, we hope that wouldn't happen. And you use friendship. The coach of friendship is an human being. I've known Azar for a very long time, and I don't think he's just recruiting kids to play. Outstanding athletes. I think he cares about these kids as human beings. He just happens to have a great program that has proven itself to be great year in and year out. But what I expect to happen is what happens everywhere, and that is other programs will figure out how to get better. You know, it's great to see Kip sitting here with their athletes this morning. There will be others. I think Hyde has a football team. There will be increasing numbers of charter schools that I think will not only have football teams, but will get better at it. And Friendship will be a catalyst for that. But every school that participates in the State Athletic Association or in any championship games will have to meet the basic criteria. Everybody will play by the same rules. You know, and frankly, I won't use the word recruiting, but some of our DCSAA schools have managed to attract out-of-boundary kids to their programs as well over the years. And that is not a recent phenomenon. That goes back many, many years where even in my day back in 1812 when I played, there were folks who actually may have lived in another part of the city and managed to be able to go to a particular school. So it's not a new phenomenon, Mark, but we're going to work hard to control that. We're very cognizant that we're not creating athletic mills, that we're trying to create statewide competition in the spirit, which I know you will appreciate, of being able to operate truly as a state and not have some kids in public education excluded while others are included, or in the broader sense, even have a statewide championship. I think there are other states that actually have these kind of games with their parochial schools involved as well, and we're going to try to do the same thing so it truly is a state activity. Is there a lot of work to be done? Absolutely, but we wanted to get started. We've got, I think, the right person at the helm. We got the right person in our state superintendent who is leading this effort, and I think we will have a wonderful program at the end of. There is no end to it, but as this thing continues to unfold. All right, I want to mention.
Well, general questions yet?
Not yet.
I mentioned earlier one of our community partners that is here. They actually have stepped up in so many ways, and they stepped up again when we said, wouldn't it be good to be able to have a turkey bowl that has a sponsor? And that, of course, is Safeway. They were the sponsor of last year's turkey bowl, did a great job in working with us. This last year, I don't know if there's a cause and effect relationship, but last year, we actually, for the first time in my knowledge, with the game being played at Eastern, there were people who had to be turned away. There were not enough tickets to be able to get in the stadium. And those who were there, you know, every seat was taken. People were all around the track watching the game. And Safeway did a great job in becoming the lead sponsor for that. We also want to have Safeway kick off today the barbecue battle. It is the 20th annual barbecue battle. Will take place on June 23rd and June 24th on in downtown D.C., and those proceeds will go to a worthy cause. So, Greg, I don't know if you or one of your colleagues would come up and like to take the opportunity to speak a little bit about it.
Thanks. Hi, Rick Stein, Vice President of Marketing with Safeway. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for having us here today. We're so proud to be, kicking off the 20th anniversary of the barbecue battle. I was here 20 years ago when we kicked it off under the K Street Bridge, and it was just a few hundred people and a few vendors, and it's grown to be a signature event for the District of Columbia. Literally tens of thousands of people come to this event annually. It's become so well known that CNN has actually picked it in its top 5 summer festival destinations. The other great thing about this is the charitable aspect of it. This year the Boys and Girls Club is celebrating the 125th anniversary, and over the last 19 years, Safeway has been able to donate over $1.2 million to the Boys and Girls Club through the barbecue battle. Not only that, a food event, at the end of each year's food event, tons of food is donated to the Capital Area Food Bank. So we're very excited. The championship, it's a national championship where the winner can earn $40,000 in prizes. And so we're really proud to sponsor it. We're glad to be a corporate citizen of the District of Columbia, and we look forward to seeing everyone out there.
Sir, you had planned to have Chuck Brown on the program. Are you going to do anything in particular to acknowledge his death?
Yes, we do plan to have an acknowledgement to Chuck Brown on the program.
Will his band still perform, or do you know if his band will still perform?
His band will still perform. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Since you mentioned Chuck Brown, Tom. Yeah, by the way, if you have a conversation in which you are engaged, I wonder if you could take it out of the room. It's fine if you want to do that, but don't disturb others. In mentioning Chuck Brown, I think we had the viewing yesterday at the Howard Theater. The services are tomorrow at 12 o'clock at the Convention Center. But the last estimate I had late last night, and even though it was somewhat curtailed because of the severe storm that we had, it was somewhere between 12 and 13,000 people who went through the Howard Theater yesterday to do the viewing of Chuck. And I was there for quite a while myself and got a chance to talk to people who just revered him and what he did for the city in terms of lifting up lifting up go-go music, and frankly the spirits of so many people in the city year after year after year was absolutely nothing short of extraordinary. So he is a son of the District of Columbia, and we want to have and will continue to have an appropriate and proper homegoing for him that will culminate with the service tomorrow.
On that topic, can you give us any indication of who will be speaking or performing at tomorrow's memorial service?
I don't have the program with me. I'm sorry. They'll be announced today? Okay. The detail of the program will be announced later today. But there are many people who have asked to speak. We can't have everybody speak, of course, and there may well be some nationally renowned entertainers who will be there as well, and maybe some of them will be on the program, but we'll announce it later today.
Will you be speaking?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you know if this will be carried live on Channel 13 or?
I think it's live. It'll be live on 16. Yeah. Your DC Government Network. Okay. Other questions? Yeah.
Well, Mr. Mayor, you've had an unusual 3 days off. I think it might be the first time, to my knowledge, you were off for 3 days. Have you thought more about what you should say as the leader of the city about what's happening in federal court with 2 people in your campaign?
3 days off, you say?
Yeah, didn't you take 3 days?
Not exactly. Trust me, it's a question. Public events are doing work. So, had you been with me on Monday, you would have realized that I was working on Monday as well.
Oh, I just said no public events for 3 days, so that's just going by your schedule.
Yeah, in fact, there were public events on Saturday in which I participated.
I know. Well, given that premise, which is faulty, have you thought more about what you might say as the leader of the city now that 2 people from your campaign have pled guilty to felonies? Not getting into whatever you have to do with your lawyer, but just as the leader of the city, people are saying you need to say more about what happened as the leader of the city. People are nervous.
I think what I've said, Tom, is what I'll continue to say, and that this is a pending, ongoing investigation in this effort, and it will continue to unfold as we go forward. And I don't think it's appropriate to say anything else at this stage. The city is moving forward. I mean, again, not to get into a long monologue about that. But this kind of event today, I think, symbolizes the fact that we are moving forward on the front that we promised to move forward on. You look, for example, at public safety. You look at homicides. We will have, tomorrow is the last day of the month. Unless something really catastrophic happens, we will have a month in comparison to May of 2011 where homicides will have been down almost half of what they were last May.
You feel that, are you anxious for the moment when you can speak?
Well, I don't know if anybody's anxious to be in a situation like this or anxious for any moment. I don't know if that's the right description. But, obviously we will get to that point, Tom.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Mark.
Mayor Gray, will you be speaking at any high school graduations?
There are a number that I have been asked to speak at, and we are making those decisions now. There are actually 4 or 5 that I've been asked to participate in as a speaker. I always enjoy doing that, and Dunbar High School is one, and it would be nice to be able to be there with, there'll be one more class, I think, in the current building, and then that building will be torn down, and there will be a new school built. So there's some exciting things happening for our high school students, especially with new buildings, with the leadership of Chancellor Henderson, working on Common Core standards, working on increasing the achievement levels of our kids, reducing dropouts. We still, even with all the efforts that have been made over the last, 4 or 5 years, our graduation rate of those who start the 9th grade and 4 years later graduate from the 12th grade is still only at 53% in the traditional D.C. public schools. Higher in charters, but overall is still only 59%. Yes.
The chairman said in the past that he will bring up furlough payment plans again next Tuesday. Based on your work around the Wilson building and talking with lawmakers, do you expect any furlough payment plans to pass next week?
I certainly hope so, Alan. I think I've been behind this from the beginning. I proposed it in the supplemental that went forward. I wish we already had dealt with this, but the chairman hopefully will bring it up again. And hopefully it will get enough votes to be able to pass. By that time, we'll have a new member on the council as well, with the new member being sworn in this afternoon. But I believe it is the right thing to do. I was involved in the decision to approve the furloughs in the first place. And I know, sitting with the other members at the time, it was done, and it was agonizing to make that decision, but it was done in the spirit of trying to make sure we had a balanced budget and to ensure that we preserve jobs. We knew that unemployment was rising at that stage. We didn't want more unemployment in the city. So the effort was to say, let's have everybody make some degree of sacrifice, but everybody will have a job at the end of the day. We did a whole lot better than we had anticipated. We had a $240 million surplus, as it turned out. And my view is that since we can quantify, we know who the people are, we know how much they committed to that effort, and we know that ultimately the effort wasn't, it wasn't needed in order to balance the budget. I really think we should give them their money back. No, I don't know where he stands on this, but I'm sure there will be lots of people talking to him. Having been a new council member at one time, 6 or 7 years ago, you get lots of people who are talking to you about everything. So he will get lots of that in the early going. Tom?
Can you tell us about any commitments you've gotten from retailers after the Las Vegas convention, particularly at St. Elizabeth's?
Commitments. What typically happens at this event is you have a lot of meetings. We had 80 meetings of one kind or another with retailers. I would say the following, Tom. What I saw was, in comparison to last year, we had, some people who were very hesitant. Some leading retailers who were hesitant to sign on to anything or even say they were really seriously interested in the District of Columbia. I saw people representing the same retailers this year, and they were a lot more clear about their desire to come to the District of Columbia. If that were to be my headline, that would be it. Very rarely do you actually close a deal at that event. But you talk about ways in which you can accommodate the needs of those retailers, what our opportunities are, and to be able to present the city to them. And then a lot of work goes on in the aftermath. A lot of those retailers we will be working with now in the aftermath of the ICSC. We spent a lot of time talking about the east side of the St. Elizabeth's campus. The fact that we are looking towards developing a food pavilion there, which certainly will hopefully be attractive to retailers who are in that business. We met with 4 theater chains while we were out there and talked about them coming to the east side of the St. Elizabeth's campus. We talked about the fact that technology is going to be an increasing presence on the east side of the St. Elizabeth's campus. So a lot of discussion about that. We were able to also clarify for a lot of people who weren't really clear about it that 4,400 new employees will be coming to the west side. And also, I hope you all have seen the news in the last few days, and that is, it looks like Homeland Security could be starting to get back on track again. The House has supported half the requested appropriation, and the Senate has supported the full appropriation, which means that there's likely to be something that will get this effort back on track, which will bring even more. You may recall that we talked about as many as 14,000 employees coming to the west side associated with the Department of Homeland Security. That will have a major catalytic effect on that area of the city. Even though unemployment is coming down, unemployment has gone from 11.2% last summer to now 9.5% in the city, a substantial part because of our One City, One Hire program. In Ward 8, the unemployment is still above 20%, and we've got a long ways to go there in order to be able to create opportunities. So in getting those people back to work, we want those opportunities to be in close proximity to where they live, and hopefully consonant with the skill sets that they have as well. They got to go to the class? All right, we'll take one more question. All right.
Mr. Mayor, the Washington City paper is speculating that Tom Sherwood might run for mayor. As of yet, Mr. Sherwood, in typical political speak, has said he has no plans at this time. Your thoughts, Mr. Sherwood, you know the political landscape. Your thoughts?
If Tom Sherwood runs for mayor, I will, first of all, heartily support him. And then I will become a journalist, and I will harass him at every possible moment I can.
Tom, before Tom.